2.5 to 5 meters from the zero line. And from there, from the 5 to 18 meters, every meter, that is to help the athletes to get their runways correctly marked. Then for performance markers, may be placed on to indicate records and qualifying marks. That is for world record or any other record for the competition. And then wind socks must be placed for jumps, discus throw, and javelin throw to indicate to the athletes the wind direction and the wind strength. Very important so that they know what is and where it's blowing. Competition order, competing order, according to the start list. Athletes will compete according to that list. If an athlete do a trial out of order by his own decision, was not called, but he did, and the technical officers didn't realize it immediately. First offense, a warning to the athlete, but the performance will stand. You will still record that. But for a second offense, you can disqualify the athletes and there will be no performance for the athletes. If an athlete have to go to another event, he can get permissions from the chief judge to do that or from the referee, and he can ask to get his attempt out of order. So he's number 12 on the list. You've done it. You can ask, but can I do number 1 in the next one so that I can go around the 200 meter? I can come back for my third event. The number of trials, except for vertical jumps, if there's 8 athletes or less, all athletes will get 6 trials. More than 8 athletes, all athletes get 3 trials, and the best 8 athletes get a further 3 trials. So only the best 8 of them. We will have a look at that later on. After 3 trials, the competing order will be changed. So the best athletes will be last and the other athletes will be first with the lowest performance. In case of a tie, same order as the original draw. So if there are 2 athletes the same after 3 attempts, and one was number 3, now number 6, number 3 will be first and number 6 will be second one. The completion of a trial, for a successful trial, the chief judge shall raise a white flag. For high jump or pole vault, when the crossbar stays on the support, and we will get back to that later on when we get to jumps, but it must be not disturbed according to the, due to the athlete's action. For long and triple jump, when the athlete leaves the landing area correctly, and for throws, when the athlete leaves the circle or the runway correctly, then the white flag will be raised. If it's a foul, the chief judge will raise a red flag to show it is a foul and it will not be measured. It just may reconsider a decision. If you raise the red flag, you say, oh no, it was the wrong one. You can change your mind, raise the white flag, not a problem. The athlete must be always number 1. For qualification rounds, if there are more than athletes that come accommodated in one round, they will be divided in 2 or more groups for qualifying rounds. In this, except for the vertical jumps, only 3 attempts per athlete. So all athletes will get only 3 attempts, and it will be according to that attempts that they will go through to the final round. The best 12 athletes will compete in the final. So only 12, if you've got 20 athletes, you divide them in 2, only 12 athletes will go through to the final. It must be at the same time if facilities are available or they're direct after each other. If you've got only one pole vault facility, you've got 25 athletes or 26 athletes, you divide them in 2 groups. The first group will jump first and then directly after them, the second group. Try always to keep the circumstances around the same. And there will be a qualifying standard. Once an athlete reaches that, you will have no further trials. So if it's long jump and you say 7.3 meters is its qualifying standard. If an athlete reaches that 7.3 meters with his first attempt, he's not allowed to do the second and the third attempt. He will go through to the final immediately. For vertical jumps, qualification rounds will be done normally at two sites next to each other. High jump is always possible, pole vault not always, but if possible, must be done like that. And the competition will go on until 12 athletes are left. So you will normal height increments, and when 12 athletes are left, those 12 athletes will go through to the final. But again, there will be a qualifying one. If you reach the qualifying standard, you are through. And for the two events, crossbar must be raised at the same time. And if more than one athlete tie for the 12th position, they will advance to the final. So if there are 2 or 3 athletes exactly the same in the 12th position, 12 or 13 or 14 athletes can go through. I think, if I remember correctly, at the previous World Championships, in the high jump or the pole vault, I can't remember, there were about 16 athletes and the women that went through to the final. Then times allowed, always a problem for the athletes, but according to the rules, if there are more than 3 athletes, high jump, pole vault, and all the others, 1 minute to do your attempt. If there are 2 or 3 athletes, 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes, and 1 minute. If it's only 1 athlete left in high jump and pole vault, 3 minutes and 5 minutes. And for consecutive trials, it's 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and 2 minutes. That's for individual events. For combined events, exactly the same, except for the 1 athlete, where it will be 2 minutes and 3 minutes, where the individual events would be 3 minutes and 5 minutes. Where possible, a clock must indicate the time left, or the athletes must be told by the timekeeper, you've got 2 minutes left or 1 minute left, or whatever the case may be, 20 seconds. And the technical officials are raised and keep raised a yellow flag during the last 15 seconds of the time allowed. And the athlete haven't started his attempt in that time, it will be a failure. The time for this athlete shall start when the competition area is ready for the next athlete. So for instance, long jump, they still leveling the sand, the cone in the front. As soon as the cone is removed, the athlete must be ready, and he got his 1 minute to do his attempt. Please call the athletes well in advance so that they are ready when they have to go, that they can go. When only 1 athlete has won the competition, remains in high jump and pole vault, and is attempting a record relevant to the competition, a world record, or for the competition itself, the time limit shall be increased by 1 minute. So we had 5 minutes, it will now 6 minutes, or whatever the case may be. So if you go for a record, you add 1 minute to his time if he's the only athlete left. In high jump and pole vault, any change in the time period allowed for a trial shall not be applied until the bar is placed at the new height. So you place the bar, as soon as everything is ready, then the time limit will start for the athlete. And when calculating the number of athletes remaining in the competition, it shall include those athletes who could involve in the jump off for first place. So if there are 3 for the first place, count all of them. If it's 4, you count all of them. In vertical jumps, the number of athletes remaining in competition is calculated at the time the bar is raised to a new height. So raised to a new height, even if athletes say, I'm not attempting this height, you still count him. So you to count the number of athletes still left at that stage. Replacement trials can also happen for any reason beyond their control. An athlete is hampered in a trial and is unable to take it, or the trial cannot be correctly recorded. The referee may award the athlete a replacement trial or to reset the time allowed partially or in full. So if something happens, there's noise or athlete is hampered, the referee can decide. Okay, you had 1 minute, 20 seconds were already gone. I'll add that 20 seconds, or I'll give you instead of 10 seconds, now 20 seconds, or the full minute, or the full 3 minutes, whatever the case may be. And no change in the order shall be permitted. So you have to keep in the order that you were originally. And reasonably time shall be allowed according to the circumstances, as I said already. Absence during competition. Athlete may not leave the immediate area of the event without permission of the chief judge or the referee. So he must get permission. If you have to go to a restroom, must be accompanied by official all the time. But he must be back when his time is back. Warning first at the DQ for subsequent instances of serious cases. So athlete disappears and is not there. First one he come back, you warn him. Second time he can be DQ'd. If absent for a trial, it will count it as a failure. So if he's not there, his minute is down and it will be counted as a failure. Then change of competition area. The technical delegate or the referee shall have the authority to change the place or time of the competition if they, in opinion, the conditions justify it. And it's normally, if after a rainstorm, there's a lot of rain, of water on the track, or for the high jump, they might have to change, or whatever the case may be. That such change should be made only after a round of trials have been completed, and neither the wind strength nor its change in direction is sufficient condition to change the place or time of the competition. So if there's suddenly a wind coming up, the athletes can't ask, but we want to jump by pole vault in the other direction now. That is not sufficient reason for that. Results and ties. Each athlete shall be accredited with the best of their trials. We'll come back to an example later on. If there's a tie in the best performance, the second best shall be considered. So you consider the second best. If second best is still the same, third best, etc., until it is resolved. If athletes are still tied after all performances have been considered, the tie shall remain, including for first place, except for vertical jumps, where there can be a jump off to decide the final one. So that, in short, the general conditions. I want to look at discus and hammer throw. Just confirm you can still see my screen. Anybody? Okay, no, I don't think you will be able to see it.
We can see it. We can see it. We can see it.
No, we can see. It's okay. We can see the screen.
Thank you. So you can see the discus hammer throws, discus circle there. Implements for discus and hammer for women and 18, discus 1 kilo, senior and a 20 also 1 kilo. For the men and the 18, 1.5, 1.75 and 2 kilo. For the hammer, 3 kilo, 4 kilo for the under 20 and the senior woman. And then for the men, 5, 6 and 7.26 kilos. Just make sure always that the correct implements are there. For hammer, the weight of the hammer, if it's 3 kilos, maximum length will be 1195, also for the 4 kilo. For the 5 kilo, 1.2 meters. For the 6, 1.215. Same for the 7.26. And the length of the hammer, you can see it's from the bottom of the hammer, the head, up to the inside of the handle. So that is the length that is measured for hammer throw. Not only the wire part, but inside of the handle up to the bottom of the implement. And the weight of the hammer is the weight, the hammer head plus the wire plus the handle. So all of them must be on the scale when you weigh them, not only the head. Assistants, following shall be considered assistants are not allowed.
Cannot see the screen. Cannot see the screen now.
The taping of 2 or more fingers together. Taping may be
We can see
continuous,
the
but the
screen.
fingers must be able to move individually. So make sure that, we look at an example now. And taping should be shown to the chief judge before the event starts. The use of any device, including weights attached to the body, which in any way provides
Sorry, I'm not
assistance when making sound,
sharing the screen.
not allowed for the athletes. Please mute your
Peter, maybe
screen.
someone saying they are not seeing your screen. I don't know, but on my side, I'm seeing.
Even me, I'm seeing.
I'm not seeing
Can
the
you
Peter,
screen.
it's okay. Peter,
No,
it's
It is
okay.
not
camera
Just
visible
control.
from my end.
Okay, I'm going to
The
stop
screen
share.
is seen, but it's not moving. The pages are not changing.
Yeah, actually, it is stuck in the first page.
Okay, I'm going to stop sharing and share again.
no, just put
give
it
me
in
a
slide
moment.
mode.
Yeah. Sharing. Can you see the screen now?
Yeah, the thrower in the gauge.
Kindly start with the weight. Kindly start with the weight. It stopped at when you were talking about the conditions, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Can you see the screen now? It's the implement weights.
Now, yes, now there's discus and hammer. But you can begin from the weight, so where you are reading the weight of the discus, the weight of the what.
Okay. This hammer, can you see the weights now? The screen? I just want to make sure. And that is a hammer throw. The hammer, how you measure the length. Can somebody just indicate?
Can you put it in a slideshow? Because I think you have just opened the file.
Okay, your screen sharing is paused. I don't know why.
Resume, just say resume. Resume slide. I can see it down there.
Okay, just I'm going to stop sharing there. I'm going to share again. Okay. Can you see now the weights there?
Yes, we
Anybody can just, you can see, okay. So that is the weights. And then now, okay, sure. That is the hammer, as I said, the length of the hammer measured from the bottom of the implement of the head up to the inside of the handle. So that is where you measure the length, and there are the length and the weight of the hammer is the head plus the wire plus the handle. So all of them must be on the scale when you weigh them, not only the head of the hammer. The following shall be considered assistance and are therefore not allowed. As I said, taping of 2 or more fingers together. Taping may be continuous, but the fingers must be able to move individually. Taping should be shown to the chief judge before event starts. And then the use of any device, including weights attached to the body, which is in any way providing assistance when making a trial, is not allowed. If you look at an example, there are 2 examples. The one fingers are taped together, other one individually. So that one is definitely not allowed, but that one is fine, it is allowed. Following shall be considered assistance and still not allowed. The use of gloves except in the hammer throw. So it's only in hammer throw where you can use the gloves. In hammer throw, the glove shall be smooth on the back and front. On the tips of the glove fingers, other than the thumb, shall be open. And the spraying or spreading by an athlete of any substance in the circle or on the shoes or the roughening of the surface of the circle, not allowed and must be prevented. If you look at the hammer glove, there's an example. The thumb, this side is open completely, but it can be completely closed. But the top of the fingers must be open for hammer throw. And then just an easy way to remember this. Athletes turning anti-clockwise. Normally right-handed athletes, the glove will be on the left hand and the left gate must be closed if you look from the back of the circle. So if you want to see if the right gate is closed, look at the athlete. If you got the glove on his left hand, then the left gate must be closed. And if you got the right glove on his right hand, it turns anti-clockwise, left-handed, and the right gate must be closed. The following shall not be considered assistance and are therefore allowed for this cases, not a problem. In order to obtain a better grip, the use of a suitable substance on their hands only. So only on the hands they can use a substance. Hammer throwers may use it on their gloves. And shot putters may also put it on their neck to help them to keep the shot close to their neck. In shot put discus throw, the athlete may use chalk or a similar substance on the implement. In all substances used on the hands, the gloves and the implement shall be easily removable with a wet cloth and shall not leave any residue. So it must be something that can be removed easily, not like in pole vault where they got some other sticky substance in the hands to get a better grip on the pole. Taping on the hands or fingers that is not in contravention of the rules, that is acceptable. Okay, then if you look at the circle, inside the diameter of the circle, for hammer throw 2,135 meters, we are looking at hammer throw and discus at the moment. And for discus it's 2.5 meters. So if you want to see there's a circle, which is which, just measure diameter and you will know what is what. For the throwing circle, the rim of the circle shall be of iron, steel or other suitable material. The top shall be flush of the ground outside the circle. The rim shall be at least 6 millimeter thick. And the inside and top of the rim shall be white. Make sure that that is white painted so that it's easily visible. And then the ground outside the circle may be concrete, it may be synthetic, asphalt, wood or other suitable material, whatever is the case may be. The interior of the circle may be concrete, asphalt or other firm but non-slippery material. And the inside of the circle must be level, 20 millimeter lower than the upper edge of the circle. Not more than 20 millimeter. Two white lines, 50 millimeter wide and 750 meter long shall be drawn on the other side of the circle. In this background here, you can see the two lines here. That is always necessary for the athlete to know and for the officials also to know where to get in and out of the circle. The rear end of these lines shall be a theoretical line through the center of the circle at right angles to the center of the landing sector. We'll look at an example now. Here's an example. So these are the two lines, 750 millimeter long, 5 millimeter wide, and the back of these lines must be the same as the center of the circle, and it must be perpendicular to the center line of the sector line. These rest are 5 millimeter lines, all of them here, the length of those, and then the angle of the sector lines, 34,92. We'll come back to that to see how we're going to construct that. For hammer throw, it's 2,135, but the rest are all exactly the same. If you got concentric circles, same area for hammer throw and discus throw. There must be a ring inside the discus throw circle to reduce the diameter to 2.135 for hammer throw. And if it's discus throw, you just take that out and it's 2.5 for discus throw. The rest are all the same. How do you mark the landing sector? Landing sector for discus and hammer, same for shot put, we'll get back to that, shall be marked with white lines 50 millimeter wide at the angle of 34.92, such that the inner edge of the lines, if extended, would pass through the center of the circle. So the inner edge of the lines. Now you will ask me, but how do I get 34.92? For me, it's easy. I'm a qualified land surveyor. I've got all the implements to do that, but there are easy ways to do that. We laid it out by using the rule 20-12-20, where the distance between 2 points on the sector lines 20 meters from the center of the circle must be 12 meters apart. We'll come back and show you exactly what it is. Also, it can be 30, 18, 30, or x, 0.6x, x. Okay, let's look at the example. We are here at Gaborone. There will be shot put tomorrow. We must still do the sector lines, and there are no indication of where the sector lines must be. First of all, you must decide where is the center line of the sector line. Got the two white lines, A and C, on this side. So from here, you measure 10 meters. From here, you measure 10 meters. And if those 10 meters extend from the center of the circle, that will be the center of the sector line. So easy way to do that, you get a tape. At point A, you put the 0 mark. At point C, you put 20 meter mark. And then you get somebody at point B at the 10 meter mark, and you mark that point. You extend from X through B, and that is the center line of your sector line. Easy way to do that. Then your sector lines itself, if you use the 30-18-30 rule, you get a 100 meter tape at point X in the middle of the circle. You put 0 meter and 78 meters. Somebody there hold the 2 points together. You get somebody at point A, 30 meter mark. You get somebody at point C, the 48 meter mark. A and C will stretch the tape, and then they will move to the left and the right until B say, yes, I'm happy. Point B is 39 meters. So the whole sector line can move to the left or the right until the tapes are stretched and you've got the center line on the correct position. Mark point A, mark point C, extend XA, that is your sector line, extend XC, that is your sector line on the other side. So easy way to do your sector lines. If you got 2 circles in a cage where the back one must always be the hammer throw, the front one must be the discus throw, and on the concrete shelf there are painted lines. You can just, if you do the discus on the normal way, and you want to do the hammer as well, you just measure XM here on the concrete, and that is the distance that it must be right through the sector line, and on the other side it will be the same. So the 2 lines must be parallel to each other, and easy way, you don't have to do the whole exercise from the hammer throw in the back. You just do one of them, and you measure the XM and extend that to the end. If we look at trowels, discus and hammer throw implements shall be thrown from a circle. Athlete shall commence the trowel from a stationary position inside the circle. And the athlete is allowed to touch the inside of the rim. That's not a problem. Sorry. There's no restriction on how or from which direction an athlete enter the circle. So he can enter from the front of the circle, he can from the side, from the back, it doesn't matter. Anyway, he can enter anyway. But when he leaves the circle, he must leave the circle in the back of the circle behind those 2 lines in through the middle of the circle. So that is where you must leave it. And then also, we'll see later on, once he left it, doesn't matter how it goes further. Trials, if an athlete in the standing position prior to any swing or turn is allowed to put the head of the hammer on the ground inside or outside the circle. So he can put the hammer down before he's trying to throw. It shall not be considered failure if the head of the hammer touches the ground inside or outside the circle or the top of the rim. So the head of the hammer can touch wherever. Athlete may stop and begin the throw again, provided no other rule has been breached and it's still in his time. If the hammer breaks during a throw or while in the air, it's not counted as a failure. I haven't seen hammer break, but it is possible. The rule is there. It shall not be a failure if the athlete thereby loses their balance and as a result contravenes any part of this rule. So if a hammer breaks during the turns and it's not a failure, an athlete, even if he exits the circle incorrectly, he shall be given a replacement trial by the referee. Markers. For throws made from a circle, an athlete may use only one marker. Then markers may be placed on the ground, adjacent to the circle, but not on any line. So it must not be placed on the sector lines or in the side lines, anywhere adjacent to the circle. It must not be placed in the landing area. And it must be temporary only for one trial. And shall not impair the view of the judges. So if the athlete bring in a chair, put it next to it as his marker, that is not allowed, must not impair the view of the judges. A single piece, not something that can be here and there. And the judges shall direct the athlete to adapt, remove any marks not complying with the rules. And if the athlete do not adhere, the judges shall remove them. Be careful, athlete may come in, you got a little mark, you put it there on the side, and then you got his towel, wipe his implement, wipe his face, and he put the towel in the back somewhere as a second marker. That is not allowed, it's only allowed one marker, you can't use that as a second marker. The trials, again, it shall be a failure if an athlete in the course of a trial after they begun or make a throw, touches any part of their body, the top or the inside edge or the rim or the ground outside the circle. So they're not allowed to touch the top of the rim or the outside of the circle. However, it's not a failure if the touch is made without any providing any propulsion or occurs during the first rotation and a point completely behind the white lines outside the circle. So you can see still here the two white lines. If he touches in the back here on his first turn, not a problem. But on the front, not allowed, and only during the first turn. Now, if an athlete doing 3 turns before he throws, hammer throw especially, make sure that it's only during the first turn. It will not be considered a failure if the discus or any part of the hammer strikes the near side of the cage after the release of the implement and then lands within the landing sector outside the cage. So that is for right side, right-handed throwers, or the left side for left-handed throwers. We'll get back to a cage picture later on, and I will explain that in detail to you. Now for you to decide. You are the referee. In this case, is it a valid throw or is it a foul? Not easy to see the side of the circle where the white lines are, but the problem is with the foot there, does it touch the top or does it touch the top? I'm not going to say yes or no, you can decide. There's another case, discus thrower, if he touches the top here, it's a problem. If he doesn't touch the top, if it's not a problem, his foot is in the air. If you look at the hammer throw here, I don't think that is a problem. The foot might be over the rim, but it doesn't touch the rim. If that foot is inside, not a problem. Another example there. There you can see two white lines, but if it's a first throw, but if it's the last turn, you're going to throw now, and he touched there, it is a foul. If not, it's not a foul. The last one, you can decide if it's a foul or not a foul. An athlete might interrupt the throw once started, lay down the implement inside or outside the circle. He may leave the circle, get something put on his hands, as long as done within the allocated time. So it's not a problem if the athlete go out, come back, he's still got 20 seconds, and he complete his throw in that 20 seconds. It shall be a failure if the discus or the hammerhead in contact with the ground when it first landed touches the sector lines or the ground or any object outside the sector lines. So if you touch the sector line when the implement lands, it's a foul. It must be inside the sector lines. Sometimes they put distance boxes just outside the sector lines. If you touch that box and it jumps into the sector line, it's also a foul, not allowed. Because it would have been outside if it landed. It shall be a failure if the discus or hammerhead after release but before contact in the ground touches any object outside the sector line. It's the same that I said in previous paragraph. If the athlete leaves the circle before the implement has touched the ground, that is especially for discus, javelin throw, and hammer throw, he must stay in the circle, or for javelin throw in a runway until the implement touches the ground, then he can only leave. So if he loses balance before the implement leaves, even if he go out in the back, not allowed, he must wait until the implement has landed. And then when leaving the circle, the athlete's first contact with the top of the rim of the ground outside the circle is not completely behind the white lines, which is drawn outside the circle through the middle of the circle. Those two white lines, it must be in the back. So he must leave the circle in the back. And with first contact with the top of the rim or the ground outside the circle is considered leaving. So if he threw and he stepped outside here, then walked back through the circle, through the front, not a problem. His first touch was in the back, so that is leaving. Most athletes will see they leave behind and go out. But if they leave, touch the back, and then they walk out to the front side, not a problem. It's the first touch that will be considered leaving. And then important, after each throw, implement shall be carried back to the next area next to the circle and never thrown back. That is a safety issue. Can hit somebody, either one of the officials or one of the other athletes. If it's thrown back, it must be carried back by the volunteers or by the officials. Distance measurement, this is for all of them. Measured and recorded to the nearest centimeter below the distance measured if it's not the whole centimeter. So if you look at the example, 34.557 shall be recorded as 34.55. If it's 56.860, it shall be recorded as 56.86. But even 56.863 will be recorded as 56.86. The measurement of each throw shall be made immediately after each valid trial. So while it's a valid trial, you measure it immediately before the next throw will be done. If you go to Paralympic athletes, then it's a little bit different here. Athlete is put in a chair in a circle, strapped in, and then he will do his 3 throws. They mark the 3 throws. Once the chair is removed, they will do the 3 measurement. But normal, after each one, it must be measured. Invalid trials shall not be measured. Sometimes you get an athlete, it's invalid, he stepped over, but it's a very good throw. And you will say, please just measure for me. I want to know what the distance is. Not allowed. Only valid trials will be measured. And then measurements shall be made from the nearest mark made by the implement in contacting the ground when it first lands on the inside of the circumference. First lands to the inside of the circle along the center line to the circle. If you have a look at the 32.19 here, if the 9 is the position of where the discus land, so it's closest part on this side, a straight line to the center of the circle, and then you measure it on the inside of the rim in the front. That is where you take the measurement. When we get to javelin, I'll show you another example. If you look at the cage, U-shaped in plan, width of the mouth of the cage is 6 meters, position 7 meters in front of the center of the throwing circle. The height of the net in the lowest point should be at least 4 meters, and should be at least 6 meters for the 3 meters closest to the front of the cage. I'll get back to an example. And then a windsock must be placed to indicate the wind direction and the wind strength. If you look at the hammer cage, also U-shaped in plan, width of the mouth, again 6 meters, position 7 meters in front of the throwing circle, middle of the throwing circle. The height of the netting panels, the lowest point 7 meters at the rear end of the cage, and at least 10 meters for the last 2.8 meters to the gate netting. So the last 2.8 or almost 3 meters, it must be higher. And 2 movable gates, 2 meter wide and 10 meter high, shall be provided in front of the cage. We'll have a look at some examples. And then only one of these gates will be operative at any time. The other one will be open, the one will be closed. That's an example of a discus throw cage. You got your circle, 7 meters from the center of the circle, the front of the cage, and it must be at least 6 meters wide. If you got concentric circle, discus and hammer, 2 gates will be open, but again, from the middle of the circle, 7 meters, it must be at least 6 meters wide. If you got separate circles, hammer in the back, discus in the front, 2 gates will be open for discus. Of course, from the center of the discus circle to the front of the must be 7 meters, and it must be 6 meters wide. Your diameter of here, or the radius, must be at least 3.5 meters for hammer throw. If you go back to the circle, it must be 3.5 for the hammer throw, yeah, and for the discus, at least 3 meters for the athlete to do his turn. But the hammer has got the extra length, so that is why it's 3.5 meters, all of them. And then the position of the gate for an athlete turning anti-clockwise, the left gate must be closed so that the front part of the gate must be 1.12 meters from the center line. Most stadiums do have a point where you can lock it, make sure that it is in position. Athletes never like it, they want it open wider, but that is according to the rules, and it's a safety factor. Make sure that they do apply it to that. That is an example of a hammer cage with the gate. And here you can see the 1.12 meters from the center line of the sector line. The other gate is open. If it's somebody turning anti-clockwise, this gate will be closed. This is for athlete, clockwise, this one, anti-clockwise, this one will be closed. Gates can also be, don't have to be movable gates, it can be sliding gates, where you slide it open or you slide it closed. I've seen that as well at certain stadiums. But here in the front, you can see the 10 meter height, and in the back, it can be lower. So that is another option for the gates. If you look at the technical officials for discus and hammer throw, if you got enough officials, 2 people on the landing area, the chief judge, the recorder, somebody working the clock, somebody do the measurement, somebody checking the circle, if everything is fine. Somebody do the scoreboard, somebody deal with the athletes, and somebody deal with the implements to make sure the correct implements are used. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 officials that you need. Most of our local competitions, we don't have that many officials. If you need to reduce, those 4 is the minimum that you can get away with. Somebody in the landing sector, the chief, the recorder, and somebody to help the chief checking. The chief will do the measurement, or the checking guy will do the measurement. Scoreboard might be there is no scoreboard. Chief will control the athletes, or the recorder will control the athletes, and checking guy will do the implements. So that is the minimum officials that you can get away with. So that discus and hammer. Let's look at one of the others. Got here shot put. Share. Where is my shot put? Okay, so you can see the shot put there. Let me just get it bigger. Nice picture of a girl doing shot put. That will be used as a background. Okay, the implements for shot put, the same as the hammer throw. Weights are the same for the men and for the women. Hammer throw and shot put. Shall be provided by the organizers, or it can be provided by the athletes, their personal implements, provided that such implements are World Athletics certified. Implements are checked and marked as approved before the competition, and such implements must be available to all athletes. So if you bring your discus in, your own personal discus, it must be available to all athletes if they want to use it. And not more than 2 personal implements may be submitted by any athlete. It was at the stage a rule that say if the organizer give you a certain implement, it's on the list, you got the same implement that you want to use your own, you're not allowed to. At the moment you can allow your own implement, even if it's on the list, not a problem to bring it in. No modifications shall be made to any implements during the competition. So once it's checked, it will be brought to the competition site and no changes are allowed. Assistance again, most of it we've already looked at. Taping of fingers we had looked at. I'm not going to in detail of this. Use of device, including weights, especially at the shot put. The athletes putting a belt on, make sure that there's not extra weights to keep them stable. It's not allowed. And then the use of gloves, except in the hammer throw, spraying or spreading of athlete in this substance in the circle, not allowed. And then very important, spitting or application by other means of human body fluids to on any implements. That came from the COVID time. And the rule now, you're not allowed to use any body fluids on the implements itself. Make sure that it's not done and clean the implements. The following is not assistance, it will be allowed. Better grip, any substance on your hand, suitable substance. On the neck for the shot putters, chalk or similar substance on the implements. And it must be easily removable with a wet cloth. Taping the hands and the fingers together. Taping, as long as the fingers are not taped together, not a problem. Throwing circle, I think we've done the same as a hammer throw circle. 2,135, and how you do it, all the same. I'm not going in detail. The stopboard, very important for a shot put. It must be a stopboard. And here you can see the dimensions of the stopboard. and the height of the starboard 0.1 of a meter from the bottom of the circle. And it must be on the rim of the circle, this curved part. And it must be good to properly fixed to the ground so it is not loose. Landing sector, same as hammer throw and discus throw. I'm not going through all this again. There you get the center line, you get the sector lines. Okay, trowels for shot put from a circle. Commence the trowel from a stationary position. Inside, the athlete is allowed to touch the inside of the rim or the inside of the starboard. Can get into the circle from any direction, but you must leave from the back. Shall be a failure if the gun maker throw touches with any part of the body, the top or inside edge of the rim or the ground outside the circle. If it's first turn and it's out on the back of the circle, not a problem again. Touch of any part of their body, the starboard or other, or the inside of the starboard, excluding its top edge, which is considered part of the top, that you're not allowed. Again, you can interrupt the trowel, start again, as long as the time is allowed. Again, when it touches the ground, it touches on the sector line, it's a failure, or the ground outside, or any object outside the line. Shot put is not that easy, but if the implement lands, leave the circle before the implement has landed, it's a failure. And then also must leave outside, as we said. Again, implements must be carried back to the area and not thrown back. Distance measurement, the same that we had before. Not going to go into detail there again. The shot shall be put from the shoulder with one hand only. If you look at the picture in the background there, the shot must be next to the neck. I think that's the neck. Shall always touch in close proximity to the neck or the chin. What close proximity is, that is for the officials to decide. I always said it must touch the neck. This one I will say is not a good position. The hand shall not be dropped below the position during the action of putting. So can't put it lower and then try to put it. Must be directly from the neck. It shall not taken behind the line of the shoulders. This looks like if he's behind the line of the shoulders to get some extra force into there. The cartwheeling techniques are not permitted. You get some of these shot putters, they stand outside the circle, they cartwheel inside and throw. That is not allowed according to the rules. If you look at an example of the score sheet, that is now for shot put, discus, hammer, even the jumps. There are 12 athletes in this case. All of them get one attempt, and it's noted there what the attempt is. A at 17.63, 17.90, 17.88. B 17.72 and 2 failures, which is marked for X. If the athlete want to pass a trowel, it's just a dash that you put in there. So there's all of them. After the first 3 trowels, you get the best of them. If you look at A, 17.63, 17.90, 17.88, best is 17.90. For B, it's got only one valid, 17.72. For C, 17.68, 17.87, so it will be 17.87. So all of them, you put the best attempt in that column. Now, only 8 of them will get another 3 trials, up to 6. And now you must order them. And look at the best trials. And I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them. So I need the 8th one. And you look at the next one. There's a 17.71, and there's also a 17.71. So it must be one of those, which is the next best one. If you look at 1771, his second best is 1757. This one also 1757. His third best 1769, also 1769. So you can't distinguish between H and L. So both of them will have to go through to get 3 extra trials. So instead of 8, you will have 9 athletes. The new order, the shortest distance will be first, and it's 2 of them, and they will throw in the same order than the first one. So H will be number 1 and L will be number 2, and then you go up to the best, which is that 18.06. So he will be number 9. So that will be number 1. H, L will be number 2, and the rest of them up to position 9. They will get another 3 attempts in the order that you've determined here. So there's the next 3 attempts. Those 1, 2, 3 of them will not get an extra attempt. Now you look at the result. The best of all 6's results will go in there. That was 79.0 there, and so it will be 79.0 still because it's better than all those. If you look at which one? So J was best was 18.01. Now it's 18.10. So the best of the 6 trials will be his result. So you get the final one, best results of all of them, including those that had only 3 attempts. Their best will also be there. And then you rank them from 1 to 12. And if you look at G, his best was 17.54, and M was also 17.54. Second best, 17.54, was 17.29. Here was also 17.29. You can't distinguish between them. So both of them will be position 10. There will be no position 11. So it's only up to 1 to 10, 2 of them, and then position 12, which will be the last one. Again, officials for shot put. 1 is enough in the landing area because it's not that wide where it can land. And the shot gives a clear print where it lands. And the rest of them are the same. If you've got a shortage of officials, those 3 is actually the minimum you can get away with, but always try to have as much as possible to do that. That shot put. Let's look at the last one is javelin. Share. Get the javelin here. There's javelin. There's a picture of javelin throw, not a very clean picture. A lot of shoes lying around, a lot of marks, etc., etc. But let's have a look at it. Weights of the implements for javelin, 500 grams for women under 18, women senior, women under 20, 600 grams, men 700, 800, and 800. And just make sure from end of last year, the new 700 gram javelin must be used for the under 18 men, and make sure that it is the correct one and not the incorrect one. The javelin itself got a head, got a grip, and got a tail. Front of the head, the back of the head, the grip itself, and the tail, they are all sort of measurements for that. The javelin runway, minimum length 30 meters, according to the rules. For high-level competition, minimum shall be 33.5, but if possible, a 36.5 is the one that you would like to have. But if you can't get it in a certain track, 33.5 for high-level competition is fine, or even 30 meters. Throw shall be made from an arc behind this an arc of the circle with a radius of 8 meters. So it will be behind that. We'll look at the example now. And that is a line 70 millimeter wide. All other lines are 50 millimeter wide, except this one, a javelin throw, the front arc line is 70 millimeter wide. And the only other line in athletics, which is not 5 centimeter, is a zero line at pole vault, which is only 10 millimeter wide. And then you also got your two 75 meter, 0.75 meter long, but they are not in the center of the runway, but in the front part of the arc. I'll show you an example now. And then also two short wide lines, 4 meter back from the arc line to help the officials to know when to measure. Sector line for javelin throw, the angle must be 28.96. And how do you get that? Here, the other one was 20-12-20 rule for discus and hammer throw and shot put. For javelin throw, it's 20-10-20. So it's a little bit less than the other one. Or same 20 meter from the center point, 10 meter wide. I'll give you an example. Can be 40-20-40, can be 5 of X, 0.5X and X. And it must be symmetric with the center of the runway again, like we had the others. If you look at an example, your runway is 4 meter wide. So first of all, in the back of your runway, get the center point. In the front, get the center point, extend those lines. That is the center of your sector lines. That is your front arc line, 8 meter radius. And that are the two lines, part of the arc line, that on either side. And here in the back, 4 meters back, it's the two white lines on either side of the runway. And again, 20 meters from the center line, 20 meters from the center on this side, 10 meters wide. Or you can have 60 meters, 30 meters, 60 meters on this side. Or the one that I always use is 40-20-40, because that is 100 meters. Easy one for a 100 meter tape. So this is the 40-20-40 from the back. Somebody at X keep 0 and 100 meter there. A will be at 40 meters, B will be at 60 meters. And again, they move up and down or left and right until B is happy that it's 50 meters to the center line. Put down point A and point C, extend, and that will be your sector lines for javelin throw. Trials for javelin throw from a runway, not from a circle in this case. It shall be a failure if an athlete in the course of a trial touches with any part of their body the lines which mark the runway or the ground outside. So when you run up, he's not allowed to touch the side lines. Others in long jump and pole vault, you see, it's allowed to touch that. It's not a problem, but in javelin throw, it's not allowed. An athlete may interrupt the trial once started, may lay down the implement inside, outside the runway, may leave the runway as long as the trial is done within the allocated time. So again, he can go out, clean his hands, put something on his hands, come back as long as it is within the allocated time. Then it shall be a failure if the head of the javelin in contact in the ground when it first lands touches the sector line or the ground or any object outside the sector line. Same with the hammer and the discus. Markers, 2 markers for javelin, adjacent to the runway, 1 or 2 markers allowed. Must be supplied or approved by the organizers. If not supplied, adhesive tape may be used. No chalk or similar substance may be used. Nothing which leave a double mark. Athletes must remove marks after the competition, and if not removed by the athletes, officials must please remove them so that the area keep clean for the next event. Javelin shall be held by the grip with one hand only. Shall be thrown over the shoulder or upper part of the throwing arm and shall not be slung or hurdled. So no other throwing acts are allowed only over the shoulder. Non-orthodox styles are permitted. Until the javelin has been thrown, an athlete shall not at any time turn completely around so that their back is towards the throwing arc. Not easy, but it can happen. But again, there was a new addition to the rules because some officials went out of their way to disqualify athletes. This rule refers to the non-run-up or only to the run-up of the act of throwing, not to an athlete walking back before starting the attempt or after having interrupted it. So if the athlete tried to jump to throw, but he stopped and he walked back to try again, that is not turn his back towards the throwing arc. That is allowed. So only in the act of throwing when you look at the back of the athlete, not towards the front part. Throw shall be valid only if the metal head strikes the ground before any other part of the javelin. Not always easy to see, but it must be some. It's not necessary to peg to be a valid throw, but there must be some angle on the landing. So the front part must be land first before the tail part. Flat or tail first landings are invalid throws. Please make sure of that. If the javelin do not peg, the position of the back of the head must be measured. We look at an example. So there's the grip. And the grip can be any of those as well, A, B, or C. Doesn't matter how he grips it, but as long as he do it at the grip of the javelin. Something in javelin, and I think other events as well, tape on the outside of the throwing shoe is acceptable. So athlete can put some tape around the shoe if necessary. Placement of chalk or some substance on the javelin is not allowed. So where you can put chalk on the discus or the shot put, on the javelin, it is not allowed. If you put it on your hands and it goes to the javelin itself, not a problem, but you're not allowed to put some chalk on the javelin on the grip. If the judge is aware of this, they shall direct the athlete to correct the situation. And if the athlete does not, the trial shall be a failure. It should also be a failure if the trial is completed before the non-compliance is noticed. So if you afterwards see that there are some chalk on the javelin itself, you can say it's a failure and not a valid for the athlete. So if you see it before he throws, make sure that he cleans it before the throw is done. And in serious cases, the athlete can be disqualified. Failure, if the athlete leaves the runway before the implement has touched the ground, same as a discus and hammer or shot put. And when leaving the runway, the athlete's first contact with the parallel lines or the ground outside the runway is not completely behind the white lines next to the arc line. I'll come back to an example to show you exactly what is meant there. And then also, if it's past that 4 meter marks, it's also considered that you have left the runway. So as soon as you're behind that, measurement can be done. After each throw, implement shall be carried back, not thrown back. And there you can see a picture, the arc line here, which is 7 centimeter. The runway sides 5 millimeter. There is the one line visible, 7 centimeter, part of it. And there's the 2 4 meter lines in the back. So if the athlete throws and he leaves the track or the runway here, it's valid, not a problem. Okay, there's the center of the arc line as well, which is 8 meters from the arc line itself. So you can leave here, you don't have to leave behind the 4 meter marks, you can leave anywhere in the front here as well. But if he stays on the center line and walk back and he's past this 4 meter line, it is considered that he has left the runway and the measurement can be done. So don't have to wait for the athlete to go all the way out. As soon as you're behind this 4 meter line, throw is done and you can do the measurement. Distance measurement, again, 1 centimeter lower. After each valid trial, invalid trials will not be measured. And then again from the nearest mark, and let's look at an example. There's a javelin peg, so nearest mark here to the arc line, that is where you measure. If it's like that, where it enters the ground, soft ground, so it's quite the way in, that is where you measure. If it's not a peg, but the front part landed first, you measure from the back of the head, not the front of the head or any other place where the back of the head is. Actually, the officials must be made clear where that is, to measure from there. And if the landing was there, your tape must be stretched to the middle of the arc line center, and you measure on the inside of the arc line. If it lands here in the side, don't measure to the middle of the arc line, you measure on the right straight line to the center line. Again, if javelin breaks during a throw or while in the air, it shall not count as a failure, even if the athlete loses his balance. The same as with the hammer and the discus, we had seen that. Replacement trials shall be awarded. And then javelin and well windsock must be placed to indicate the wind direction and strength for the athletes so that they know what is going on. Again, technical officials. Minimum that you need, or what you need for high-level competition. If there are not enough officials, those 4 is the minimum that you will need. I always say you need 2 in the landing area, because if it lands on this side, it's not easy for the guy in this side to get there quickly to see exactly where it lands. And that is my competition for throws, my presentation. If there's any questions, you're welcome. If I don't have the answer, we will go to the rule book and see what we can do.
Question, please raise your hand.
Okay, there you are. I have a
Yes.
chat. If there's anything.
Drupal?
Yes, sir.
Drupal?
Sorry to disturb, Peter. Yes, sorry to disturb. Can I ask just one question?
Yes.
Yes, in relation to the closing of doors, right hand side, left hand side.
Yes.
Where exactly? How are we going to measure where to stop the right or the left side, depending upon the athlete? You got it? If ever someone is throwing,
Yeah.
if someone is throwing right hand side, so we must close the left hand side door. So
that's right.
How much should we, and how are we going to calculate where to stop the gate as such?
Gate.
Thank you.
Most of the tracks do have a hole there where a peg goes in to fix the gate at that position. If it's not there, before the competition starts, you close the gate until you got that 1.12 to the center line. Make a mark so that you know when you close the gate, it must be at that position. That is all. And then if the gate is in the way, some of them are on wheels of the measurement. Once you measure, you open the gate again, do the measurement, and close the gate again for the next athlete. I hope that is clear enough.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, Drupal, thank you. Mosima, I can see you have a question. Can you unmute and speak? Are you there?
Yeah.
Mosime, are you there? Any other question? As we
I'll be
wait
there.
for-
I'll be there. Morning.
Yes.
And everybody.
Morning.
Yeah, but this question was unrelated to what we presented, but it's something that I saw, especially with, I think, one of the two stadiums, Germiston and Port, when you are dividing your athletes into two groups and then mid-competition, you realize that the wind, actually, it was the wind last year where now on trial number 4, you can clearly see that the others are now gaining advantage and the others are losing advantage. So I was
Okay.
asking in terms of being a referee, what would a best decision be there?
Okay, I see your comment there in your question. If you divide in two groups, the conditions must be the same as best as possible. So they must jump in the same direction. If that is not possible, the best is to divide them in two groups and let them jump one after the other. It's not always possible. If there's no wind, you can say it's fair to them, but it must be fair to all the athletes. So if they jump, they must go in the same direction if there's any chance of a wind, and that is the best option for the athletes.
Okay,
So in this case, if you can't have the same direction, better to have the one group and then the next group the same direction after that.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other question, please? You mentioned the event while asking the question. Any other question? I know Abdallah always have a question. Abdallah, where are you? Abdallah, Uganda.
That's the only question in the chat group that I see. There's nothing else. If there's any questions, you're welcome to ask.
I don't have a question. I don't have a question. I don't have a question.
Ah, good to hear your voice. Good to hear your voice. Eva,
I see there's a request for presentation
Just one
to
question,
share.
in terms of shot put.
Yeah, I think the
Maybe I missed it, but
recording will be shared, but I'm also prepared to do a PDF file of the presentations and share that if necessary.
there's a question from Mildred Gamba. Raised hand.
Yeah. Please come, Mildred. Thank you.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
I hear you.
unmute.
Yes, can you please redisplay the slide with the weight implements? Because I work with students and I think I don't know if I got it correct, like the U18 are throwing 3 kgs or what that. So I just wanted to see the slide again with the implements for the different age groups.
The weight of the implements.
Yes.
I'll do this one with the that one.
Yes. That one.
Shot put. It's a little bit light, but you can see the 3 kilo, 4 kilo for women and the 18 and the seniors. Senior and the 20 use exactly the same weights, and the 18
Yeah.
not set for this.
Yeah, because I
Okay.
think that when did that change? Because I think we need to change it in our schools thing. Because before, like from U18, they would throw 4 kgs just the same as the senior. But now I see it's been moved down to 3 kg.
Yeah. Now this
Okay,
is
I
from
just
the
wanted
board.
to see that. So that's fine. Nothing else.
Okay. Thank you.
Mildred, I
Any
think
other?
you should go back to the rule book. They should go back to the rule book when they're asking a question. Then they quote the rule, technical rule
No,
number. Any other question?
No, I just wanted to see the thing again because like with the, it's fine. I saw what I wanted to see.
It's okay, but it's
you told me-
advisable to keep looking at the rule books, the changes, the implementation, so that you can be up to date. I see there's one question from Orini.
Tony, unmute yourself. Yep, thank you.
Good morning, everyone. This is Tony from Namibia. I just want to ask something that I think I did not get it very well. Peter, you spoke about in terms of javelin. I would like to know, when do the athletes have to use the chalk, or are they not going to use it at all? Did you get my question?
For javelin, you're not allowed to use any chalk on the implement. You can use on your hands. If your hand go on the implement, it's fine. But you're not allowed to put some chalk on the implement itself to get a better grip. For discus throw and shot put and hammer throw, it's allowed, but not with javelin.
Noted.
I have one question in terms of when it comes to shot put. In a scenario, let's say you have two groups, A and B, and for the final, you have to select the best 13 athletes, and from the A and B results, 2 athletes tie on the 13th position. What happens? Do you move the 13 of them, or you go for a trophy?
Now, if there are 2 or 3 athletes for the last position, you take all of them through to the final. So there will be more than 12 athletes. It can be 13 or even 14 athletes in the final.
Okay.
Okay, any other question?
Just 1 minute here. Suran here. Peter and the guy who asked the question. Normally, you take 12 athletes, at least a minimum of 12 athletes for the finals. Now, if you have the same performance, then you need to work back on the second best, and then you go back to the third best. It's only then, when if the tie still exists, then you can take the 2 of them to the finals, and you have a final with 13 then.
Noted, friend.
You got that?
Good, thanks.
You understood? You got that?
Other question?
Yes, understood, Suren.
Okay.
Question, please. Luca.
Can I have one question, please?
Unmute one device while talking, please. Mute one device.
Let me have one question, please.
Go ahead.
You told us on the javelin throw, on one event of javelin throw, we will have, after 3 trials, we will have 8 athletes who are going to have the extra 3 trials. During that, when we select the athletes, or the 8 athletes, we may have, unfortunately, we may have the 8s and the 9s athletes will have the same result, and they will have the opportunity to enter to the final trials. Am I right?
That's correct. So you
Yeah.
more.
What can we do if we have 3 the same results, 3 the same distances who have achieved that distance? What will happen if we have 3 athletes who are going to come to the last 3 trials?
Okay. You look at the best 8, and if there are in the 8th position more than 1 athlete, both of them will go through for the next 3 trials, like we had in the example. There were 2 with exactly the same best, second best and third best, so both of them will go through and have an extra 3. So not 8 athletes, but 9 athletes will have the extra triathlon.
It may happen that you have more than 9 athletes also, like the example here. You may have 3 athletes tying for the last qualifying place. That means the 8. Doesn't matter. They're all given additional pros.
That's right. You can have more than 8. It can be 9, 10, even 11.
Okay. Mariah, can you unmute and ask your question? Lydia? Are you there?
Yes, sir. How do you differentiate
your
between a consecutive trial and subsequent trials?
Okay. Consecutive trials. Say for instance, there are 3 athletes left in the high jump or in the throws. Have one athlete A that do his throw, and B and C, no, they pass the throw. They're not going to do it. So in the next throw, it must be A again. That is the consecutive trials. There's nothing in between, so you get the extra time. Subsequent, I'm not quite sure. It might be Suren, you can help there.
Where was that that mentioned with the subsequent trials?
I don't know. It's just see the question, consecutive, the difference between consecutive and subsequent.
Can we probably, if you can refer to the rule, you can give a better explanation on that.
Okay.
That would be an explanation.
Thomas said the subsequent the next normal trial. Yeah, I don't know.
Mariah, please, Lydia.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, asking a question. They want your response.
I see there's another question there. Where jumps or legal or the wind is also brought in. The wind is just for record purposes. It's not taking into account for the best performance. So the best performance is just as measured. So if you measured 7.6, another one is 7.59, doesn't matter if the wind, the 7.6 is better than the 7.59.
Oh, Thomas is there? Thomas? Thomas?
It's not Thomas, it's right. We are using his laptop. He's busy in the field of play right now.
Okay.
Okay, I think what you're saying is that the difference between the consecutive and the subsequent trial is the subsequent trial is a non-consecutive one. The subsequent trial is a non-consecutive one. That is a consecutive, you do 1, 2, 3. For the subsequent, you can do 1 and then 3. So the first one is the first attempt. The subsequent one is the next attempt that you're going to take. That's the best explanation that you can give in that aspect.
Thank you. Any other thing? If not, thank you very much. It was a pleasure to present you with this. And I look forward to do the jumps as well. Moses, over to you.
For joining. Sorry for disappearing. Thank you, Suren. Thank you, the rest. Okay, as we prepare ourselves for the exam, for those preparing for exam, and those ones who are preparing for the event, please apply the rules. Use the rule book. Download the rule book from the World Athletics website. Refer everything. When you ask questions, please refer to the rule book. That's all for today. See you next week.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
God bless
Thank you.
you.
Asante sana.
Thank
Be
you.
blessed.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. God bless.
Thank you, God bless you.
God bless. Bye. Thank you.
Thank you, it's Jim. Thank you.
Okay, thank you from Langat.
Asante.
Thank you, Moses, for making everything successful. Thank you.